I'm Tiffany Young, your host for June's episode of The Scoop. May was a busy month for NAVFAC Southeast as we faced back-to-back aircraft mishaps at two of our installations. The command still had to work diligently to maintain normal operations in spite of these disasters, once again proving to be a team of teams. I have the inside scoop for you on that. Then looking ahead into the summer months, we will talk about the upcoming DEOCS survey and how to make sure that you have a fun and safe summer. Let's get started. On May 3rd, a Miami Air Boeing 737 from Naval Station Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, landed at the Naval Air Station Jacksonville, then slid off the runway and into the St. Johns River. The aircraft came to a stop in shallow water. All of the passengers and crew members exited the aircraft with no major injuries. Vice President Mike Pence visited NAS Jacksonville May 20th in response to the Miami Air incident. On May 10th, two Navy pilots were flying a T-45 aircraft that crashed inside the airfield perimeter on board NAS Kingsville. The pilots were able to eject from the aircraft and escaped with minor injuries. Investigations are still pending on both of these events, but I wanted to know more about the role NAVFAC Southeast has in environmental mishaps. I was able to talk with on-scene coordinator John Baxter. Here is what he had to say.
A Navy on-scene coordinator is responsible for being the incident commander for any event that has a release of oil or hazardous substances to the environment. The primary aspect or responsibility for the Navy on-scene coordinator, or NOSC, is to remove the source of pollution from the environment and then do the environmental cleanup to restore the area back to its pre-existing conditions. I'll start first with the Miami Air incident at NAS Jacksonville. It was a Boeing 737. The night of that incident, NAS Jacksonville submitted a request to Navy Region Southeast for emergency support. Within about an hour of the incident, we were on site supporting NAS Jacksonville, and our primary responsibility initially was to assess the incident, fulfill all required regulatory reporting, and develop a plan to mitigate the pollution. 4 days later, the aircraft was out of the water and relocated on private property off of NAS Jacksonville, which enabled the base to restore their mission fully. Relative to the T-45 incident at NAS Kingsville, when that aircraft went down, it was on the airfield. We mobilized immediately. NAVFAC issued a contract for an environmental response contractor to go to NAS Kingsville. And when we got there, we immediately removed the aircraft since it was leaking fuel into the environment, placed it into a hangar, and then started the environmental cleanup that was left behind. Roughly 7 days later on that event, the environment was fully cleaned up and returned to its pre-existing state.
We are so grateful for John and his team. May we extend our prayers to those who survived these horrific events. The DOME Organizational Climate Survey, also known as the DEOCS, is coming our way. The survey will be open for NAVFAC Southeast employees June 17th through the 28th. The DEOCS is an annual DoD-wide survey mandated by the Undersecretary of Defense to gauge the workplace climate of each command. I've heard many questions that you had regarding the survey, so I sat down with some of our command's leadership to get the inside scoop. Take a look.
The DEOCS survey is important because it gives us a benchmark, a baseline for the command, and it's required for every commanding officer when they first take command to have a DEOCS survey conducted.
It gives us a picture of the command climate, both at the command-wide level and at the component level, which means down to the business line and support lines and the public works departments.
So the demographics information that is actually collected isn't used to identify specific individuals. What it's used for is so that we can make sure that we get an accurate representation of our population within our command.
I read every single comment for every single PWD, for every single different core category that we have the evaluations for, and they're very important to me.
As a PWO, I rely on this particular survey to help identify trends that need to be addressed both publicly and privately.
There's a couple things at a command level that senior leadership focus in on. We used a strategic design of the organization, the larger NAVFAC organization. We used the command philosophy of the skipper, and then we used a DEOCS survey, and those three things shape what actions as senior leaders that we're going to take throughout the year.
The DEOCS survey isn't mandatory. No one should feel that they're being pressured to take it, that they have to take it, but it's an opportunity for you to impact the command.
We want to continue executing our mission with a sense of urgency, and I think we're headed in that direction. But it's important to me that we continue to make NAVFAC Southeast a great place to work.
Hopefully that answered some of your questions. For more of the interviews, check out our DEOCS video. If you have more questions or need more details, please visit the DOME website or speak with your supervisor. The 101 critical days of summer goes from Memorial Day to Labor Day. This is the time of year that Americans experience the most mishaps, and our command is no exception. Now to turn it over to our safety guy, Gabe Taylor, for tips on how you can keep you and your friends and family safe during this critical time period.
The 101 critical days of summer is upon us and goes from Memorial Day to Labor Day. As the weather improves, we naturally become more active and engaged in outdoor activities. With this in mind, we all need to be more diligent in mitigating inherent risk to keep our coworkers and our families safe. Statistics show that there is a spike in accidents resulting in fatalities during this time period, but these accidents can be avoided. The majority of these accidents involve driving in privately owned automobiles and motorcycles, so please practice safe driving methods. With the rise in summer temperatures, it is important to be aware of the expected weather conditions and plan events accordingly. Be sure to maintain your hydration levels and check on others around you as well. If you feel thirsty, you are already dehydrated. Never do water activities alone, under the influence of alcohol, drugs, or medications. Know your limitations and your capabilities. Moving forward, it is critical that every one of us takes a proactive approach in identifying situations which could become dangerous to our safety or those around us this summer. Remember, cutting corners costs lives. All mishaps are avoidable, and our goal has been and will remain 0 mishaps during the 101 critical days of summer.
Thanks, Gabe. June 1st is the start of hurricane season. We will be releasing a hurricane preparedness video full of tips from our local expert, Don McConey, on June 10th, so check back in for that. That is all we have for now. Thanks for tuning in and stay safe this summer. Bye. On May 3rd, a Miami Air. Ugh. On May 3rd, a Miami Air. How many times can I say Miami in a day? On May 3rd, a Miami. Why can't I say Miami? On May 3rd, a Miami Air Boeing 730. I hate my life in this moment. Delete all of that.